Welcome back. ACCA Paper F6 Taxation UK variant, June 2012 attempt. Question number 3, which is testing chargeable gains for 15 marks. Exam technique, first read the requirement. Requirement number A1, state which individuals are subject to capital gains tax on the disposal of chargeable assets situated in the United Kingdom. 1 mark. Part A2, state which companies are subject to corporation tax on the disposal of chargeable assets situated in the United Kingdom. 1 mark. Very easy questions and very easy answer as well. Individuals who are resident in the UK will pay capital gain tax, and companies which are resident in the UK will pay corporation tax on capital gains. Okay, this is the answer. Part B, part 1, assuming that Winston King does not sell his sole trader business, calculate his capital gain tax liability for the tax year. 3 marks. Part B, part 2, calculate Winston King's capital gain tax liability for the year if he sold his sole trader business on 25th of March. It means selling the business, definitely you need to take into account entrepreneur's relief. Okay, in part B, part 2 you will take into account entrepreneur's relief. Okay, 4 marks. Part C, part 1, before taking account of any available rollover relief, calculate Wiki Limited's chargeable gain in respect of the disposal of the warehouse. Part C, part 2, advise Wiki Limited of the rollover relief that will be available in respect of each of the 2 alternative reinvestments. Note, your answer should include details of the base cost of the replacement asset for each alternative. 3 marks. So this question basically is testing both individuals and companies. So examiner can do this thing very well. They can ask you pure individual question, they can ask you pure companies question, and they can also give you a cocktail question like this, individual plus companies. Okay, now moving on to the examiner's comments on this question. Examiner comments I will read, then we will solve this question. Examiner is saying there were many correct answers to part A. However, candidates should appreciate that for just 2 marks, a detailed explanation of the residence rules was not required. Part B was very well answered, with many candidates achieving maximum marks. However, examiner loves however. It was sometimes not appreciated that the disposal of the business would fully utilize the available basic rate band, resulting in the painting being charged at the higher rate of 28%. If you remember when I was teaching you E-relief, so I told you that E-relief, the gains which are eligible for E-relief will utilize the remaining band, the basic rate band. Okay, and the other gains will be charged at the higher rate. So that thing examiner is saying, very important point, this is a very very important point which many candidates missed, but you should not miss because I have already told you. Then they're saying in part C, the first requirement was very well answered, although the incidental cost of acquisition were often omitted from the indexation allowance calculation. They are giving you some incidental cost in this question, if you remember. Okay. The final requirement was the only aspect of this question that was consistently not well answered. A number of candidates stated that the amount of proceeds not reinvested would be the chargeable gain. Despite this figure being higher than the gain calculated in the initial requirement. So this is the examiner comment. Now we will solve this question starting from part A. Again, exam technique, if you are receiving your answer sheet, what to do? Write on the top question number 3 in the middle, and which part you are solving part A, and which part you are solving part 1, like this. So what is the answer for this part? Kindly write. Individuals are subject to capital gains tax on the disposal of chargeable assets during any tax year in which they are resident in the UK. In which they are resident in the UK. This is the answer for 1 mark. You can write this point. 1 mark means one well explained solid point. Okay. Like you can also write like this: those individuals who are resident in the UK, full stop. But this is not a professional point from your side. What do you think? Like you are writing those individuals who are resident in the UK, full stop. Okay. So you don't need to write a phrase, you need to write the full point. Okay. Copied. Part B, part 2. Oh, sorry, part A, part 2. Companies are subject to corporation tax on gains from the disposal of chargeable assets if they are resident in the UK. So a point which is very important to note, although it is written in the requirements as well, that individuals pay capital gain tax and companies pay corporation tax. Remember this difference. Okay. So for 2 marks you can write these 2 points. Now part B, part 1. Part B. On 19th of May 2013, Winston King disposed of a painting, and this resulted in a chargeable gain of 46160. For the tax year 2013-14, Winston has taxable income of 19,410 after the deduction of the personal allowance, which is how much in this year? 9,440 pounds. So next paragraph is relating to the sale of the business. In solving part B, part 1, you are only concerned with the first paragraph, because they are saying, assuming that Winston King does not sell his sole trader business, what is the capital gain tax liability for the tax year? Very easy part for 3 marks. So write please, Winston King. You need to use the name of the person, Winston King. And what you are going to do? You are calculating capital gain tax liability for which year? 2013/14. This should be the heading when you are solving this part. Now there is no need to write proceeds less cost, because they are directly telling you the chargeable gain. So chargeable gain on painting. How much is chargeable gain on painting? 46160. Don't forget to deduct the annual exemption. What is annual exemption in this year? Annual exemption 10,900 in this year, available for individuals, not companies. Companies are available indexation allowance. So, what to call this figure? Remember, this is called your taxable gain. This is called your, before applying the percentages, the figure is called taxable. Like in income, we call it taxable income. Remember, how much? 35260 is your taxable gain. And now we will calculate the corporation tax liability. Copied. Now remember, what are the bands? Bands are pound 1 till pound 32010 and 150,000. Now they are telling you taxable income is how much? 19410. It means somewhere here. For example, 19, how much? 19410. Okay. So this much is used already. This much is used already. How much is available in the basic rate band? How much is available in the basic rate band? 12,600. So when you will calculate the corporation tax liability, capital gain tax liability, so how much available? 12,600. So in the basic rate band, if it is available, you will apply how much? 18%. And now you have used this figure as well, and you are in the higher rate band. So how much was my taxable gain? On the last page we calculated 35260 minus 12,600, how much? 22660 at the rate of, this is your answer, how much? 2268 6345. In total how much? 8613 is the answer. You got 3 marks. You got how many marks? 3 marks for doing this thing. Copied? Part B, part 2. Calculate Winston King's capital gain tax liability for the tax year if he sold his sole trader business on 25th of March 2014. This figure is coming in our tax year or not? What is our tax year? 6th of April 2013 till 5th of April 2000. So B part 2, that selling is selling the business. So definitely you need to take into account something called entrepreneur's relief. So Winston is considering the sale of a business that he has run as a sole trader since 1st of July 2006. The business will be sold for 260,000, and this figure along with the respective cost of each asset is made up as follows: freehold shop, freehold warehouse, net current assets. Net current assets means current assets minus current liabilities. There is no capital gain on current assets. There is no capital gain on capital expenditure. We have capital gain tax or not? So the freehold warehouse has never been used by Winston for business purpose. So remember, this is a requirement of entrepreneur relief, that it should be purely for business purpose. So if it is not used for business purpose, you cannot claim entrepreneur relief on the freehold warehouse. You can only claim entrepreneur relief on freehold shop. Okay? So in order to claim entrepreneur relief, it should be in the business, not private use. Private use not allowed for reliefs. Relief is not any relief is not available for your private use. Whether it is rollover relief. Remember, rollover relief, again you have to prorate it if you have some private use of the asset. So now what to do? What should be your approach? Remember, I told you, you need to separate the gains. Gains eligible for ER, gains not eligible for ER. Okay. So again we need to write the heading. What heading we should write? Winston King capital gain tax liability 2013/14. So gains qualifying for ER, gains qualifying for entrepreneurs relief. Yes, what is qualifying? Only freehold shop. So what is the gain on freehold shop? Can you tell me? What is the proceeds of freehold shop? What is the cost of freehold shop? So how much is the gain? 60,000 is the gain which is eligible for entrepreneurs relief only. Done? Now gains not qualifying for ER, gains not qualifying for entrepreneurs relief. Yes, remember painting? So painting is there and freehold warehouse. Now if you can see freehold warehouse, what is the gain of painting? 46160. Okay, now see the freehold warehouse and tell me how much is the cost of freehold warehouse and what is the proceeds? Gain or loss? So capital losses of the current year are netted off against capital gains of the current year. Okay, so it is a good idea to cancel the losses against the gains those are not qualifying for ER, definitely, because they are chargeable at 18 and 28%. Getting my point? So less allowable loss on warehouse. How much? 14,000. So 14,000 is allowable loss on warehouse. How much? 32160. This is called net gain. Gains less losses is called net gain, like net profit, sales minus expenses, revenue minus expenses is net profit. Similarly, gains minus losses are net gain. And if there are less gains as compared to losses, so you will say net loss. Moving on, what is the next step to do? Remember? Annual exemption. Why I am deducting annual exemption from these losses, not from those gains which are eligible for e-relief? Because I want to minimize my tax liability. If I will use annual exemption in those gains, which are qualifying for e-relief, I am losing. HMRC is winning. Okay, so I have opportunity to win here. So less annual exemption. This is very, very important point. Don't forget this thing. 10,000. How much is remaining? This is called, remember I told you, last figure is called taxable gain. How much? Now remember what are the bands? Again, I am making those bands. Pound 1 till 32010 and 150,000. So how much I have already used? 19410 I have used till here. Now this remaining band, if you can see, this is the priority of e-relief. This remaining band is assumed to be used by those gains which are qualifying for e-relief. So how much are those gains which are qualifying for e-relief? 60,000. Definitely the space is very less, so you have crossed the limit and now you are in the higher rate band. Getting my point? So capital gain tax liability, 60,000. Remember those were eligible for ER. What is the ER rate? And how much are the not eligible for ER? 21260. They will be taxable at all of them. Okay, because you are standing somewhere here now. Okay, even if you are crossing 150,000, still it is 28%. There is nothing like that if you are in the higher additional rate band, so it is 38%. No, maximum 28%. Okay, so multiply by 28. How much? 6,059.53. Total how much? 11953. Easy, difficult? Very easy. Okay, so you got how many marks? You got 4 more marks. So total 4 plus 3 plus 2 how much? Congratulations. We have passed this question, In order to pass, at least you should get 7.5 marks. We passed this question. Moving on to the next area of this question, which is part C. Part C, part 1. Before taking account of any available rollover relief, calculate Wiki Limited's chargeable gain in respect of the disposal of the warehouse. So just you need to calculate the chargeable gain. So what heading should I give? Wiki Limited. And what I am going to do? I am calculating chargeable gain on warehouse. So write chargeable gain on warehouse. Chargeable gain on warehouse. Okay. How to calculate chargeable gain? Remember, proceeds less cost is your gain, unindexed gain, indexation allowance. In companies we have unindexed gain, indexation allowance, then chargeable gain. So see the question please. Wiki Limited sold a freehold warehouse on 3rd of Feb for how much? So these are the proceeds or not? Disposal proceeds. How much? 312. Remember the formula I told you, less cost to sell. Less cost to sell. So they are saying the warehouse had been purchased on 12th of November for 171, full stop. Wiki Limited incurred legal fees of 2200 in connection with the purchase. This will come ahead in cost. And legal fees of 3400 in connection with the. So I need to deduct from here or not? So less incidental cost of disposal. Incidental cost of disposal. How much? 3,400 negative. How much is remaining? 308,600. Okay. These are called net proceeds. These are called net how much is coming in your pocket. So when you will calculate that rollover relief, so you will consider this 308,600, not this 312,000, because net of how much is coming in your pocket? 308,600. Getting my point? But the examiner is saying in comments that even if those who have used 312, I will give them the credit, no problem. But I am telling you, you should use net proceeds, because how much net is coming in your pocket? You need to see this thing. Okay? So now tell me, what's next? Remember, less cost. How much is the cost? Cost is 171,000. Okay. And there is also incidental cost of of acquisition. How much? 2200. Incurred legal fees of 2200. So this is called incidental cost of acquisition. Incidental cost of how much? Less 2200. Okay. So how much is remaining? This is called unindexed gain. Remember? Unindexed gain. 135. How much? 135,400. This is unindexed gain. What's next? Indexation allowance. Less indexation allowance. Can you briefly tell me what is indexation allowance? Remember? What is the logic of indexation allowance in companies? Why I am deducting indexation allowance? To eliminate the effect of inflation. Okay, so for individuals, annual exemption is available, no indexation allowance is available. For companies, indexation allowance is available, no annual exemption is available. So both of them are getting some relief. So kindly tell me how to calculate indexation allowance. Remember, RPI at the date of disposal minus RPI at the date of acquisition divided by RPI at the date of acquisition, multiply by cost, multiply by. So tell me one thing, what is RPI at the date of disposal? 255.3 minus what is RPI at the date of acquisition? Divided by 182.7. Remember, this is a normal working and you need to round it off. So how much is this? To 3 decimal places, if you can tell me. 0.397. Multiply by cost. What is cost? Now cost, you need to add both of them. Okay, because both are costs. So how much total cost? 173. 200 is the cost. How much? 6876. This is indexation allowance. So what is chargeable gain? Chargeable, this is the answer, chargeable gain. So examiner, remember I was reading the examiner comment, so examiner pointed this thing out that candidates only took the indexation allowance on the cost, pure cost. They did not included the incidental cost of acquisition. You should include it. So this is one of the mistakes which many people did at that time. Done? Now tell me one thing, how many marks you got? 3 more marks. Okay. So last point, remember examiner's comment, last part is not done so well. This part was done. So C part 2. You know why? It depends on the time frame as well, because definitely you are solving the paper. So last part which is coming, many students they fail to manage time, and this is rule, exam technique, that if you are crossing the time limit, leave it. Like for 15 marks question, you have 27 minutes allowed, for example. 15 multiplied by 1.8, how much? So 27 minutes. Till now, whatever we have solved till now, 27 minutes we have, for example, we have spent. So if you are a good exam technique student, you will leave this part and you will move ahead to question number 4 or question number 1, question number 2 in order to complete the paper. Otherwise, you will not complete the paper. I am also giving you this exam technique advice. First thing, try to complete the question. How you can complete the question? Do maximum question practice before the exam date with time condition. Okay. Still, if you are not able to do it in the exam, leave that part. Leave 1-2 pages depending on the situation, depending on the marks. Like 3 marks, definitely leave 2 pages for rollover relief. Move on. Getting my point? Because you know, when we are playing cricket, if you have seen cricket, so a batsman is coming, he is scoring 50-60 runs, he is exhausted now. So a new player, when a new player will come, he will be in a good position to hit more sixes or not. So exactly like this, you are in the last stage of the question, you will earn low marks. The proportion of earning marks is very low when you are at the last stage of the question. When you will start a new question, you will earn more marks in less time. Getting my point or not? So this is the exam technique. Now C part 2, advise Wiki Limited of the rollover relief that will be available in respect of each of the 2 alternative reinvestments. Wiki Limited is unsure as to how to reinvest the proceeds from the sale of the warehouse. How much proceeds I am getting from the warehouse? 312. I am getting how much? 312,000 pounds. The company can either purchase a freehold factory for 166,000 pounds or it can purchase a freehold office building for 296,000 pounds. All are qualifying assets or not? See, warehouse, qualifying asset, freehold warehouse, non-depreciating. Freehold factory, again non-depreciating. Freehold office building, again non-depreciating. And the reinvestment will take place during July 2014. I am selling in Feb 2014 and reinvestment is in July 2014, within the 3 years or not. Remember that requirement. All requirements are met, you can apply rollover relief. Done. And there is no depreciating asset thing involved. All are non-depreciating assets. Fine. So now 2 things are there. First, you will make a heading freehold factory, because first they are giving you freehold factory. So make heading freehold factory. Freehold factory. Gain you have already calculated. Chargeable gain we have already calculated, which is how much? 66640. Now we need to see, can we roll over this gain or not? This is the question. So what is the cost of this freehold factory? 166,000. How much? 166,000. So I am writing here cost, how much? Less rollover relief, if any, and this is the base cost. Tell me one thing, just keep in your mind, this is your mind, okay? Don't write it in the exam, this is your mind. How much are the proceeds? 312, okay? How much I have reinvested? How much I have not reinvested? And okay, take proceeds of 308,600, no problem, okay? So 308,600 is coming in my pocket and I am reinvesting how much? Only 166,000. How much I am not reinvesting? And what is my gain? So can anything be rolled over? Can anything be rolled over? Nothing can be rolled over, because the amount which you are keeping in your pocket is much bigger than the gain which is coming. Getting my point? So nothing can be rolled over in this situation, nil. So the base cost will be done. Easy. See, nothing can be rolled over because your savings, your pocket savings are much bigger than the chargeable gain. What about next thing? I am purchasing freehold office building. What is the cost of freehold office building? 296,000. Again, keep in your mind that how much is coming in your pocket? 308,600 is coming in your pocket. Less rollover relief we need to do and base cost will come. Okay. Now tell me one thing, how much I am keeping in my pocket? 12,000. What is 308,600 minus 296,000? 12,600 I am keeping in my pocket. This is immediately taxable. This is immediately chargeable. So how much is my chargeable gain? 66640. And how much is immediately chargeable? You just told me. So how much can be rolled over? How much can be rolled over? 54040. 54040 can be rolled over only. 12,600 is immediately chargeable. What is the base cost? 241,960 is the base cost. And you will write a note as well that 12,600 of the proceeds are not reinvested, so it is immediately chargeable. Done? Getting my point? Easy, difficult? How many marks you got? 15 marks, that's it.